This is Ice Crush Juggernaut. Yeah. No. This build had only one goal. Big AoE. Our maximum AoE is 569% increased. And as for a meme build, it's still playable. But how in the world is this playable and still has that big AoE? I'm Spider Urban and this is a meme build guide for Big AoE Ice Crush. This patch Ice Crush has 611% damage effectiveness at 20, but the big winner is Seismic Cry. Look at this line, 50% more AoE, the fuck is that? Now pair it with Blood and Sand, and you get this insane 72% more area of effect multiplier, and this is every single increased AoE source that's in the build. Just a brief reminder if you decide to look at PoE, this is not the DPS, this is max hit. The DPS is way lower. I'm just going to call that out early. So, what was the challenge in making this build? It was to get crit chance up to 100%. For a long time I thought I needed to anoint Disciple of the Forbidden, but I've actually managed not to. And I was able to get it done with just few uniques. We get Watcher's Eye for Hatred crit, and we get Sublime Vision for Hatred Brittle. And since we deal so much damage, we actually apply Max Brittle effect for 6% additional crit chance. And now we just add things like Assassin's Mark, self-casting Battle Mage Scry to get the buff, and kinda expensive double elevated Hunter Warlord chest. With all of this and things like Inspiration support as well as Diamond Flask, we are pretty much crit capped with no power charges. Unfortunately we don't have high crit multi, but we have so much things to worry about. Like getting Cold Pen without Cold Penetration support, we do this with using Pandemonius, going for Fangs of Frost, and then we get Divine Judgment to just get Elemental Mastery for -18, which we apply from our gloves. That combines for a total of -50 Elemental Penetration. We still need to worry about attributes, getting good life, getting some max res, and making sure that our max hit is decent. And I've actually managed to make a really easy build to play. Literally all you need to do is press Warcry, hit once the ground, pop flasks, and then you can map. That's basically it. Your Blood Rage procs automatically, your Seismic and Intimidating Cry procs automatically, your Molten Shell procs automatically with cast when damage taken. And we just killed Tormented Phoenix with no problem. Actually, this build was way harder for me to put together than Ratfinder, but I've made so much weird decisions that normally would seem bad, but in our build are awesome. Like, maximum DPS in our case is Blacksmith's Cloud, cause we use pretty damn good mace. Going for Seasoned Swordplay for getting some reduction in reservation efficiency as well as cannot block attack mastery, or Graceful Assault to get more onslaught effect in order for build to play comfortable. But the thing that surprised me the most was Sublime Vision. We actually only use one aura, one herald, and one stand skill, and that's all auras we use. We also use Auto Exertion for Seismic and Intimidating Cry, which doesn't count as aura, which count as a trigger. So not only our build applies max brittle effect, but we also apply max chill effect, as well as some shock because of our enchant. Also, you don't need to play maces, you can play axes with this build, it's way easier to gear up. You know why I play mace? Increased AoE. Also the rest of the gear is to get good damage and solve accuracy. Echoes of Creation is for way more damage from our Warcries. Gloves is just try to solve accuracy as well as resistances. Dev stories for +1 max endurance charge. Now we also need to get some int on our ring and then get as much life as possible. We also managed to avoid getting rage on hit from our gloves with little pride, which I actually managed to find 1 rage on melee hit as well as some crit chance, crit multi and extra life, and physical damage. There is also one other mastery which actually is very good if you are struggling with specific monsters, and it's enemies permanently take 5% increased damage for each second they've ever been frozen. I would say this build is very good for mapping and things that spawn monsters like Harvest, Expedition, Legion, maybe Blight too. You can pretty much pre-stack your damage with putting your Ice Crush ahead of monsters spawning. This build was so good that I actually managed to put an SSF version that I farmed Guardian maps over and over again, as well as Harvest. It still has very good AoE, but it uses axes, they have higher attack speed. We still use double elevated chest cause this is pretty much mandatory to play the build in an easy way without things like mana leech and having auras, but other than that it's literally rare gear and nothing super special, and I've dropped Watcher's Eye with crit multi for precision, which actually does something. There were some awakened gems, however they were not fully leveled. And if you play trade, you can easily take some adjustments like Good Little Pride, take Sublime Vision as well as Watchers like Crit Chance, and get very cheaply things like Death Store, Pandemonius, and Cluster Jewels, which actually are very cheap comparing to other things in our build. But the most important question is, how do you level? And the answer is play Sunder. Yes, play Sunder. It's the same playstyle, but it's way easier to play with Sunder until you have all the gear you need, and you won't be dying as often as I did when I was putting this character down. So that's the build. If you have literally any question, please ask me down in the comments, because I've put this down from scratch, and I will be able to answer anything you have. You can even send me a PoE in the comments, and I will try to give you some tips about it. Thanks for watching, and I will be making another build guide soon and more videos, so stay tuned.